I'm on medicine at 26 years old with 3 kids and a wife. So I'm not going to keep my mouth shut.
When you finally get in this field, you expect to have people wrap their arms around you.
We're fighting against administration that doesn't want to see the best for our Black and brown students.
What are we here for? Am I here for people whose last name are Williams, or am I here for my people?
Dr. William Blake.
My name is Jarrell Pittman.
My name is Desmond Williams.
My name is Jaquez Roddy Jefferson.
Jeremiah Thomas. I teach 6th grade language arts, and this is my 4th year teaching.
I've been in education informally for over 20 years, but formally for about 11 years. The moment that I wanted to become an educator, I was about 16 years old, and I was working at an enrichment summer program. And just the sheer willingness to show up was always what I looked for in a job. And this was my first role coming into this space. And students lighten up when you come in, when you give them the love and the compassion that they're looking for. It gave me purpose.
I have been in education now for 21 years, and I am currently an assistant principal. I often tell folks, like, I'm a legacy educator. My first example of a Black male educator is my dad, right? My dad had just recently retired from being in the classroom for 42 years. You normally don't find that commitment from Black male educators to be in the classroom for 42 years. Just watching him have an impact and an influence on communities, and especially Black males, I knew that is something that I wanted to do.
This is year 25 for me in education. I am a 2nd grade teacher, consultant, and published author.
I've been in education for over 10 years now, and currently I serve as the 8th grade Action Civics instructor. And it's pretty much like teaching students about democracy, the Constitution, the roles of citizens, and how to advocate for themselves.
I got into education from my late grandfather, Elder James N. Dorsey. Looking at how he served the community, that's why I decided to go into education.
I had an incident when I was a freshman in high school. I had a negative experience with a teacher. I was in the back of the room, like a lot of students, doodling, and I wasn't paying attention. We were reading Of Mice of Men, and she asked me a question. She was like, "What do you think about such and such, Mr. Williams?" She caught me off guard. I wasn't paying attention, and she made a really big deal of it. And she came to the back of the room. She looked at my notebook, and she was like, "Are you writing rap songs, Mr. Williams? This is not going to be an advancement." She said, "Your career is in Steinbeck." And I said, "Steinbeck has never done anything for Black people." And her face just dropped. And I felt like that was the end of my relationships with the teachers at my school.
Students need to know what excellence looks like, right? We are in a Eurocentric world where the lighter skin, the Caucasian race, is the definition of success. But Black males, and we are also the definition of achievement. And when students see themselves in the classroom, see themselves in schools, they could say, you know what? I could be an achiever as well. I could be successful as well, because he is wearing the J's, he's wearing Museum DC in schools, and I could do that too.
Statistics definitely show that Black male educators just merely being in a particular space is going to impact in a positive way. But I don't believe that the education system as it sits today values the fact that that diversity is necessary and allowing us to show up in a sincere way, knowing how best we are going to impact the space that we're in. They want us to come in and be that impact, but also dictate what that impact looks like. And I just feel like allowing us to be the full spectrum of who we are brings out more success.
Black women are not supported either. When you look at the data around Black women getting passed up for promotions, whether it be a coaching role, an assistant principal, any kind of role outside of the classroom, you see that same lack of diversity and that same lack of support. So I'm agreeing to 100%, but I I think a lot of times when we have these conversations about what are happening to Black men, we forget that those same forces are cannibalizing Black women as well.
This year, we are celebrating the 250th year of America, right? And when you go back 250 years ago, when our forefathers, when they wrote the Constitution, and it said all men are created equal, we weren't included in that passage,
Facts.
gentlemen, right? All men were white men at the time who owned people that looked like you, looked like me, and they owned weapons so they could bear arms, right? So when they wrote the Constitution, when they said all men, they didn't think about us. They didn't think about Black women or Black children, right? So we have to be the ones to bring our voice, to bring our authenticity, to bring our humanity in the space when decisions are made. Because still in 2026, when people are creating policies, when people are creating amendments, they are thinking about the Eurocentric mankind and not African American folks that look like you and I. Believe it or not, we are we only represent less than 2% of the workforce in education. And when you tell folks that you are an educator, they look at you like, why? Why are you doing that? And when you finally get in this field, you expect to have people wrap their arms around you. You expect to have mentors. You expect to have role models. But since there's only so few of us in this game, we have to create our own lane.
You can't keep banging your head against the wall. I've fought tooth and nail for 3 years in a war of attrition and still felt like I wasn't heard. So I chose to be silent to preserve myself, my own peace of mind, my sanity. You can be quiet and not say things, but then a child may suffer because of that. Or you can continue to use your voice or channel it in other ways to get the job done.
It sounds like you changed your mind.
No, I'm saying it's okay. It's okay. If we're gonna say it's okay, but I don't think all the ways to continue to stay silent because it could.
But I think
some-
okay means, is it right?
No, I think okay means just
Not
means
is it
okay.
in the middle of something.
I think okay
Like, is it
means
right
hey,
or
it's
wrong?
permissible. It may not be acceptable, but it's permissible.
Education is the ultimate game of politics. And no one is going to advocate for Black people except Black people. And what I see is administrators and people who get comfortable because they have fought for so long, they make it a being about preserving their family and their children. And for me, that is a loss for our people. It might be a win for you and your children, but what are we here for? Am I here for people whose last name are Williams, or am I here for my people? So it is absolutely not okay.
There are some fights in the world that we are just not going to win, right? And when it comes to those fights, you have to understand, like, is your voice going to become violent? So let my actions become my words to support the students that we need.
That
if
sounds
it's-
like you should come
yeah,
over here.
if it's going to be,
because
if it's
that's
going to
not
be a
silent.
fight, if
But
it's going
that's
to be a
not-
fight,
But that's not
Oh.
silence. That's you not talking and using your actions. You should come over here too. Because you guys are saying it in a
Well-
different way. I think sometimes we forget because if we've been in the game for 4 years or 12 years or 30 years, your curriculum is Eurocentric. The language in which you mediate conversations is Eurocentric. If you're in a middle or a high school and you're teaching Latin, French, and these are languages of colonization, it's uber political. So when you take yourself out of those battles, it's just a win. And I think sometimes we forget those things, but to not look at ourselves as political entities in this game, I think is a loss for us.
I would say one last point because like I said, I want to make sure that my perspective is clear because I agree with everything everybody's saying.
So just come on over.
So vocally is what I'm thinking of silence. You can be vocally silent and still get your point across, as I was saying, like Blake was saying, channel your effort, energy somewhere else. Now, if you're a good educator, your students can do the work for you. But I do understand that in some cases, there's no choice but to speak out. But think about them times when you got to regroup and recoup and get it together. Those are times when it's okay to be a little quiet. My voice is a little too scary to always speak out against everything. I've already had my fair share with that. So I'm trying to find ways to be wiser in how I use my voice. And every time I don't got to be vocal, I can preserve my own peace of mind and sanity because it's the way I have to be a little more, okay, how can I approach it differently? If I can't do it, my brother can speak for me, or we can get a group where the students can make a project to get done. But I don't feel like me always having to speak up. I get burnt out. I tried it. I'll get burnt out. I can't always speak out. So vocally, sometimes I have to be silent and use other avenues to get the same result.
In terms of like the conversation we were having, just like the burnout of carrying so much as Black educators, we deal with it on every level. So we are political entities to whereas we're fighting a political game, we're fighting against parents who are not quite understanding what the plight is that we're facing. We're fighting against administration that doesn't want to see the best for our Black and brown students. And then we're fighting a community who doesn't always value the intellect and the mindset of Black people.
In a way, when it comes to using my voice, sometimes I will be silent and my voice or my action will pick up the pace and make sure that I can do what's right for kids.
I advocated for the student to get an IEP and everything. And my principal knew that this student had behavior issues and all of that. And I advocated for the student from August till December, had 56 seizures, December 13th of 2024. My principal called Office of Investigation, asked what I'm going to sue the county. Hear me out. Came back from FMLA early for my students, continued to advocate for my students. And when I came back from FMLA early, they treated me like a dog. Mind you, I came back from FMLA early for my students and my administration. Mind you, my wife was pregnant at the time with my baby girl. So not only I'm jeopardizing my health, but I jeopardize my wife's pregnancy. So mind you, I'm still advocating for my students, but also I was told from my principal, keep your mouth shut, because she didn't want to deal with this student that had behavior issues. But again, he want to tell me to keep my mouth shut. I'm not doing that. This student caused me 56 seizures in the hospital. Not only I'm in the hospital bed calling out the student's name, while the doctor's saying this student caused this teacher distress. You guys knew, but you want to tell me, keep your mouth shut. Not going to keep my mouth shut. Mr. Thomas is an advocate for his students. I'm still going to advocate for the student no matter that you're causing health issues for me.
It reminds me of the Baldwin quote. And I know it's not verbatim, but it says something to the degree that to be a conscious Black man in America is to be angry all the time. So people like Amos Wilson and Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, Neely Fuller, Asa Hilliard, I carry all of those people with me in the classroom. And I try to decenter whiteness and focus on African-centered psychology. So we're not necessarily, yes, there's Women's History Month and Black History Month, but my goal is to think about what does it mean to be an African in this space at all times.
I try to give them a way of thinking like history from below. You know, it's not the quote unquote victors' history, but it's our history, and we can be the victors in that.
I think telling them things that most other people are not saying to them, consistently speaking into who they are going to be after they're in your space. I think a lot of times we focus on trying to get them in compliance and get them to be who we need them to be for the time or the moment that we're in. I constantly tell my students, I'm not giving you lessons for what you need to be successful here in this classroom or here in this building. I want these to transcend past this moment. And these are things that you're going to take into your future. So every conversation that I have is based off the idea of I'm building humans. I'm not just teaching children.
You have to build relationships with students, but people have to be taught that, right? And with me, it just starts with a simple thing. How are you? What's going on? Yo, I love you, right? And I use those openers like every single day so they know that I am a safe space for them. I care about their well-being. Although instruction is the main thing in schools, right? But we have to be very intentional to develop relationships and to tell kids that you love them at the end of the day, because 80% of them don't hear that